A very good morning. This is Easter Sunday morning, and there's the beautiful Magnolia stellata flowers that have come out. Absolutely gorgeous. So birds are singing. The sun is hiding beneath a very thick layer of cloud, which is quite nice because yesterday was very hot. I've got all my washing hanging up here. So I was busy yesterday, as you can see, getting washing done. I was also busy yesterday repotting some plants. So I've put this yucca, or well, I call it yucca, it's actually cordyline, into this pot. It was in this pot here, quite small. So this should do it now for a wee while anyway, maybe a year or so. They grow very fast here, because of course here in the west of Ireland we have the Gulf Stream. And the Gulf Stream coming in from the Atlantic round Mexico. So you have that beautiful warming, and it warms the land, and it really kind of keeps the temperature to a lovely level that allows all kinds of subtropical plants to grow. So the cordylines do exceptionally well, along with many other plants. So I've put my little bench over there for the time being, and also my little chimenea, which I had the cordyline sitting on top of, just outside the studio, and I made a little fire pit just with some stones. So this is the other cordyline, the same size, and it's grown too big for the pot. Seems to grow over the winter as well, and there's a lovely flowering honesty or lunaria just in beside it. That's the result of cold composting. Lots of lovely flowers coming out on the ajucans. Give it about another week. Should be just gorgeous. Okay, a little hint for anyone who has a Kelly kettle and it's a very still day, there's not a lot of air or wind blowing. Little foot pump, and I just hold the wee nozzle against the opening here, and my word, it gets it boiling very, very quick. You can also use a little bicycle pump, so that's a really handy tip, I think. Certainly works for me. There's so many greens and so many shades of green and so many colours just beginning to happen now. And I'm just looking up at my contorted willow, or twisted willow, Salix contorta. And it's got a little bit more room now, a little bit more light as well, since the playhouse was taken away. Of course, this is the view now, just past this beautiful purple beach. Just coming into the first orchard, and there's 3 apple trees here. So this is one of the ones that, of course, I pruned them all hard back, but they're looking so promising now. They're just, there seems to be so much blossom going to break on these, which is really very encouraging for me. Now this apple tree here quite a few years ago, developed silverleaf, at which point, I think it's called silverleaf, at which point I should have actually cut it right back. But I'm looking at it now, and it's looking, again, quite promising. So it's very exciting just to have done this, to have pruned hard back the apple trees and witnessed quite a regeneration in them. Very promising. Beautiful changes as everything comes into leaf or flower. Greens. Just shows you how fast they've come on. And harvest coming in the next few days, because there's the pea shoots. They've really come on. And then there's kale and all kinds of, they look like tomato plants in there, I don't know. all kinds of greens. That's looking good. And my spearmint. And then I must show you the Mizuna's coming up. Look at that. It's got quite cold and windy. It's amazing to think that yesterday the temperature was, it must have been about 25 centigrade. It was really warm. Well, it was actually quite hot. So it's about 6:30 now. And I thought I'd just come out because the sun has suddenly appeared. It's been rather cloudy all day. And I thought I'd just take you down and show you what I've been up to today. Well, part of the day. Down here in the woodland, and also want to show you all the changes, because the changes are quite immense, really are. See, quite windy. Jack, let's go this way. So first of all, I'll just stand here on the bank. Oh, look at that. I've just noticed some saxifraga. Isn't that look beautiful? Growing in the gravel. Just down here. Look at that. The blossom is out on the cherry tree. And yes, that is an edible cherry. Isn't that lovely? So let's walk down this way. Now this is spurge. I think I called it something different the other day by mistake. It's actually spurge, and it's a beautiful, beautiful plant, and it's just slowly getting a hold on the land further up, and even behind the cottage I'm seeing little bits of spurge come up, which is beautiful. Let's walk down this way. There's the fairy wood, and the leaves are coming out on the horse chestnut, coming out on the dogwoods. And the carrier has suddenly just burst into life. It's everywhere. Beautiful, beautiful blossom. There's a piece of the goat willow has fallen over down there. But look at all the primroses. And, just noticing this, surely this cannot be. That looks like a baby horse chestnut. That's amazing. So earlier on today, I came down this way to cut across, go over past the silt pond and down into that little area which borders the road, to cut back lots and lots of brambles from around an oak tree that I planted last year. Do any of you remember the oak tree that I brought with me from London inside a tin watering can? And it got stuck in there, and I had to take a hacksaw and literally cut the watering can to bits in order to get the tree out. But anyway, so as I was walking across the ways to get to it, I stopped here and I thought, oh, there's a lot of brambles in here. I must get them cut back. So I also pulled out a piece of tree that I'd sawn up there last year. But I'll show you what I do with the brambles. And this does work. It works very well. So I cut the brambles and then I put them into piles. So you know I call these habitat piles because they're brilliant for small animals and sometimes even birds to nest in, you know. But they biodegrade down really quickly, in about a year, and even though there's nothing underneath them, they don't actually root in the ground, especially if you do it around this time of the year when it's quite dry and quite windy. They do dry out very quickly and then they don't root. And of course it all feeds the earth. So there's my little habitat piles. And been clearing some of the goat willow to give some of the other trees a chance, like this green beech. And there's another green beech there. And here's a little horse chestnut. See? Jack is just trying to find the right grass. He knows exactly the kind of grass he needs to be eating, because he's got a little bit of a rumbly belly. In fact, we were sat up in the sitting room there in the cottage together. I was reading a book and his belly was making the most extraordinary noises. He was looking at me, I was looking at him. He was looking at me as though to say, "Are you making those noises?" And I was looking at him, you know, actually saying, "Jack, your belly What is wrong with you? You've got very gassy. This goat willow in here is absolutely beautiful. It really is. It's beautiful. And you can see, I'll just walk through here. You can see that that was part of an old ditch, because this land was divided up into 3 fields, you see, and there was a little ditch running between each field. But of course 16 years ago this was just kind of like a hedge almost, and I let it grow. I just let it grow. I thought I need to have something growing here because there was nothing. So the hedge has turned out to be now this beautiful goat willow, which is very elegant actually and very strong and powerful. This lovely fern down at its base. And then the ditch, which is now dried up, has become sort of like a little microclimate down there because it's very sheltered. And there's woodbine, it's the wild honeysuckle. And there's a new little hawthorn tree that's come up here. So it's amazing where you do have, you know, an old hedgerow and a ditch. That can be the beginning of something, you know. Because here, look, you know, you can see this beautiful holly has grown up there as well. Of course, all the primroses. What I'd really love to do, maybe this year, is to get in around these little places, especially these beautiful goat willow trees, and maybe make some little benches and put them in here. I'm just going to turn around, put my back against the tree. Now you can see all the new planting that I've done. You can also see the dead bits of the goat willow, which again I don't do anything with. That will just drop. I tidy up along the paths, which is where I did all this cutting last autumn. But the woodland now is just coming into late spring, and you can see it's quite magical. I know I'm always saying magical, but it is magical. I find this land utterly enchanting. Crossing over the little ditch now and squeezing in past the bamboo. This bamboo I planted here as a way of helping to soak up the water, and that was a little board, excuse me, a little like a little bridge that I made years and years ago across what was a very wet ditch, a very boggy and sometimes very watery place. I don't often take you down this path. Well, as you can see, the bamboo sheds its leaves, which is wonderful because you get this beautiful mulch building up. And then today I've just been trimming back just to keep the path open, and then dropping the bamboo onto the path and putting the nice sticky bits of it down here, because this can be a little bit boggy just along here. So that's a little project I'll keep going then for the rest of the summer. And there's the lower pond. And then over that way is the drive. Maybe we'll go over this way. I love the way the ivy just hangs down in these big trails from the branches. Isn't that amazing? And I'm seeing little violets here. The biodiversity here on the land now is just extraordinary. Astounding, really. Do you know, it's as though the land remembered how it had been hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And with everything that I've planted, it's pushed up more. So where I've planted a tree, it's pushed up violets, it's pushed up primroses, it's sort of showered me with meadowsweet and ferns and spurge. Here's some more spurge here. See? And then the beautiful moss and the beautiful ferns just beginning to come through. And the little hawthorn which has grown here. And the daffodils. So on this beautiful Easter Sunday evening, I wish you all a joyous weekend, bank holiday weekend. Of course, we're all on holiday at the moment, but blessings to you all. Blessings to you all.